Okay, so here we've got a simultaneous equation. We know they're simultaneous because we've got two letters, x and y, which means that whatever value of x and y we find, it must make this equation true, and it must make this equation true at the same time. So simultaneous. Lots of different techniques. The common way of doing these is to give the coefficient in front of one of the letters the same value, so that we can do something to remove that letter. Eliminate it, it's called. So we're going to make the number of x's the same in this particular example. We could have done the y's, but it doesn't really matter. So if I want to make these have the same number in front, I look for the lowest common multiple. Well, the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10. So if I call that equation A and that equation B, then we can see what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to take equation A and multiply it by 5. And we're going to take equation B and we're going to multiply that by 2. So equation A multiplied by 5, well, 5 times 2x is 10x, times by 3 is 15, times by 11 by 5 is 55. And the bottom there, the B equation, if I double that up, I get 10x, double 2 is 4, and double 18, 36. So at this stage, we're at the situation where we've got the coefficients in front of one of the letters the same. So we've got 10x's there and 10x's there. We need to eliminate these x's, so we've got to ask ourselves at this stage, do we add the equations or subtract them? Well, adding wouldn't make sense because 10 plus 10 makes 20 x's. That means the x's are still there. So we'd have to do a subtraction at this stage. The thing we've got to be careful of is we follow through all the time with this, what we're doing. So we're doing 10 x's, take away 10 x's, so 0x, so they've gone. We've then got negative 15, take away 4. So we must remember that negative 15 take away 4 is going to end up as negative 19. Y's, of course, and 55 take away 36 is 19. I know what negative 19y is, it's 19, so I divide by negative 19, so y is 19, divide by negative 19, which gives me negative 1. Now I know the value of one of the letters, I substitute that back into one of the original equations to then find the value of the other letter. It doesn't matter which I chose, A or B, so I'm just going to choose B. I could have chose A, it doesn't really matter. So if I substitute the value we found into B, then B said 5 lots of x plus 2 lots of, when you substitute, put them in brackets, 2 lots of the y value, which was negative 1, and that gave an answer of 18. So I've now got a linear equation to solve to give me the answer for x. So 5x's, well, 2 lots of negative 1 is negative 2, plus a negative is going to give me a takeaway. So 5x take away 2 is worth 18. Solve by moving the numbers away from the x until we're left with x on its own. So we move things by doing the opposite operation. So instead of taking away 2, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So 5x's are going to be worth 20. And if I divide by 5, I can find out the value of 1x. So 1x is going to be worth 4. So we now think that the answer for this question is the y value is worth negative 1 and the x value is worth negative 4. Sorry, not negative 4, positive 4. With simultaneous equations, one of the most important things to remember to do is to always check. And we check in the equation we didn't use at the beginning to find the value of x. So we used B to find the value of x, so we now check in A. Now A says we do 2 lots of the x value, take away 3 lots of the y value. So we substitute in brackets so we can see what we're doing. Things next to each other means multiply. So, and we want to check that's going to be given as 18. So 2 lots of 4 is 8. Oh no, A's got 11, sorry, so it's going to be worth 11. And then we've got 3 lots of negative 1, which is negative 3. But when you're subtracting a negative, then things get bigger. So it's going to be 8 add 3. So that's going to be 11. So our checked work. So because our checked worked, 2 lots of 4 was 8, 3 lots of negative 1 was negative 3, but when you're taking away a negative, you make things bigger, so it's adding. So 8 add 3 is 11, so our checked work. So our final answer then is y equals negative 1 and x equals 4. So that's a summary of doing simultaneous equations. Make one of the coefficients the same. Do either an add or a subtract to eliminate that letter that you made the same coefficient, and then substitute into one of the equations to find the value of the other one, and then do the check at the end to make sure it does work for both equations. Simultaneous must work for both.